Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the National Museum of the American Indian. My name is Hayes Levis, and I work in the Cultural Arts Department, and we are celebrating our annual Living Earth Festival today. Today, we have a food program. We are very, very fortunate to have with us Felicia Ruiz. She has been studying cooking for many, many years and is going to be doing a challenge with our potato. Moderating for this program is Loretta Ogden. Loretta Ogden is a forerunner for native foods, and Louise is actually one of her proteges. So let's give them both a warm welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. Which mic am I on here?
Oh, right here, sorry.
Oh, now I'm supposed to reach this. I like to walk and talk. Good morning, almost afternoon. Welcome to the first of many wonderful cooking demonstrations today at the museum. I have the great pleasure of introducing Chef Felicia Ruiz. We met first at a wonderful cooking art destination in Idlewild, California. She does some amazing work with indigenous foods, but it's much more about health and well-being. I call it thoughtful or thoughtful food. So without more ado, and I'll keep bugging her through this to find out what she's cooking.
She will.
May I present Chef Felicia Ruiz.
Thank you. Good morning. So, and thank you, Loretta. Loretta's actually one of my biggest mentors, so it's really sweet that she's commentating. I am making today a dish using purple Peruvian potatoes, which are indigenous to the Americas. So most people, they like to cook with regular potatoes, but if you want to, like Loretta said, I'm really into nutrition and wellness, so I like to cook with things that actually will offer even more nutrient benefits. So the purple potato, as you can see, it's purple. It's very high in antioxidants. So there's many scientific studies out that actually the purple potato is an anti-inflammatory. So it's a really good thing to add to your diet. I see them in the grocery stores now more often, and that's what we're going to be cooking today. I'm not sure if we have a recipe after. We do? Okay, so everything that I'm making today, you can try to make at home. So what I have is a cast iron skillet up here for the sake of the demonstration, but at home, if you have just a roasting pan, you can put the ingredients on your roasting pan and roast in your oven, or if you like to roast vegetables on a grill, you can do it that way, but for today, I'll be doing it on a cast iron skillet. So I actually like cast iron skillets because they remind me of like my grandmother, that old school. So I have poblano peppers, and I'm just going to be putting 4 of them on my cast iron here. Has anyone eaten poblano peppers? Yeah? They're very mild. They're not very spicy. The larger the pepper, it won't be as hot. It won't be as hot. So we're going to put that on there. I was asking about the smoke detectors because I didn't want to create anything, but if you're at home, you want to get that heat really nice and hot, and you'll get that really nice blister on it. So you're just going to want to keep turning those and get those going. What I have here, in the refrigerator, I have the tomatoes that he took back there. Sorry about that. So what I have are onions. You can use purple onions as well, and it's the same thing like I was talking about. If you want to up your nutrient intake, go for vegetables and fruits that are deeper in color, and you're going to get those nutritive benefits. So we're going to do the purple potato, which I already have here. And what I have on the recipe is that it's called purple Peruvian potatoes sleeping in poblano peppers. So I always feel like people, thank you, they eat with their eyes first, but what I like to do, especially as a former restaurant owner, you actually eat from your word, you see the words first, and that's what you're selling to the person before the plate even gets to their table. So I like to tell a story, and this is called Sleeping Peruvian Potatoes. And so what I'm going to be doing is roasting the poblano peppers and then stuffing them with the purple Peruvian potatoes, and they'll be on a really delicate tomato salsa and no cheese. My ancestors didn't eat cheese, so we don't have cheese in the ingredients here. So what I have are some roasted serrano chilies that I actually did this morning for time's sake. Go as spicy as you like, and if you like different chilies like jalapenos or like a California Fresno chili, that would be a little bit less spicy. You can do that. I have some roasted garlic. And I already did some poblano peppers here. So I'm going to still keep these on because I was hoping that you guys would get to at least smell how beautiful these are once they start roasting. So what I did is I went ahead and roasted the peppers earlier. If you've roasted red bell peppers, our grandmothers taught us the trick. You can put them in a paper bag, wrap them up, or put them in a bowl with some saran wrap, and it helps the skins come off easier. Same thing. So you kind of just want to make a slit. So this is like the little sleeping bag for potatoes. So those are roasting. We're just going to take out some seeds. And like I said, these are not spicy at all. Well, at least not to me, but my family's from New Mexico, so my not spicy might be a little spicy for you. We eat a lot of green chili. Loretta would know, she used to live in New Mexico.
Anyone can handle a poblano. It's just kind of a pepper with a great flavor, but not too much heat. If you get the seeds and the veins out, that's where most of the heat is. But that's such a beautiful pepper, and certainly one that's gorgeous and big to stuff.
And I don't think they're not warming up for me, so. Oh, the strip is not on. The power strip. Well, luckily, I have everything already done, so. I've done this a number of times, so I'm always prepared. You never know what will happen. Well, while they're doing that, what I have are 4 of the peppers. This is a really great meal if you want to do like your meatless Mondays, because it's very filling, lots of nutrition, but you don't have the meat. Watch yourself, Loretta. Has anyone had, oh yeah. Take a while. Has anyone had like a chili relleno? Yeah, everybody loves those. They're packed with cheese and deep fried and all of those things. But actually, long before the Spaniards arrived, we didn't do any type of frying of our food because we didn't have lard. We didn't cook that way. We did mostly steaming, roasting, and drying. So this is in honor of that. We're not deep frying or anything like that. We're keeping it authentic in that way. So because this is kind of warming up still, what we'll do is hopefully you guys will get a little bit of a fragrance going over here. So I went ahead and I chopped up some cremini mushrooms. This is something that would be foraged. I chose cremini. You can use white mushrooms, you can use shiitakes, you can use portobellos, whatever is in your pantry, whatever you prefer. I like creminis because they're really earthy and they go really nicely with the potatoes. So what I have here is a little bit of olive oil. You could use sunflower oil if you like, avocado oil, and we're kind of waiting now because it needs to heat up, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you what we'll be doing. You're just going to put a little bit of your mushrooms, some of our purple potatoes, and what I did with the purple potato and the mushrooms is I chopped them up to a small dice. because we want them to cook very quickly so that we can get them into our peppers. If they're big, giant pieces, then when you go to get a bite, you don't get all the good little flavors. So we're just gonna get that cooking. I have a little bit of tomato paste and some cumin. And we're just gonna add a little bit here. Tomatoes are one of the indigenous ingredients of Mexico, so I like to use a lot of tomatoes. And this is the tomato paste. So we're gonna mix that up there. Not sure what you guys can see on here or not. So this is cooking, you're smelling this. Smells really good. And we're gonna just keep turning those. We've got our peppers ready. And as you can see, it's just like that little sleeping bag. They're so thick and meaty. Sometimes you'll get ones that are a little bit thinner and they're a little trickier to fill, but they still come out all right. So we're just gonna let that cook. I went ahead and roasted my serrano peppers, and depending how hot you like it, you can either take the seeds out or you can keep them in. I like things spicy, so I'm going to keep the seeds in. But you still want to take off the stem, because what I'm going to be doing is putting this in our blender. Now, a long time ago, like my grandmother and my great-grandmother, we didn't use blenders, or they didn't use blenders, and I actually have my great-grandmother's molcajete. So I like to make things like that at home, and it's just this stone, mortar and pestle. And I always, joke that if something, if my house was to burn, the one thing I probably would go back inside to retrieve was my grandmother's molcajete. Although I've been told that probably would survive the fire and I should grab something else. So we're gonna put this in the blender. And I'm hoping that this was, let's see, will go on. Well, there's one back here. We'll see. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thank you to my sous chef. And I can tell that this is finally starting to heat up.
That was wonderful.
Are we going to have like an outtakes version at the end for those things? Okay, I can tell this is finally starting to heat up, so hopefully you guys can start to smell that. So we're going to get this cooking so you can, because of time, we might be stuffing them with just al dente potatoes. So put a little bit of garlic in here. Let's do it like this. And I roasted some onions. And when I roast the onions, I like to roast them with the skin and everything. I love roasting peppers. Some people like to light incense in their house, and for me, just roasting one green chili on the stove feels like home. I'm gonna put this in the blender. Here we go. I can hear
Sizzle,
it. Sizzle.
yes.
Yes.
Finally. You need to hear that. You need to hear that.
Yes. Has anyone had purple potatoes and like a mashed potato, or because I know I'm seeing them in restaurants now.
We have sizzle.
We have sizzle.
Yes, that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
And then we need to waft, waft the aromas out there.
This is such a beautiful dish that Felicia is doing, and we chose potatoes, papas, for the main ingredient for this particular series, and putting the tomato in there. You know, they're all from kind of the same family, related to the deadly nightshade. So, as you may or may not know, the fruit of the potato, the fruit of the tomato vine are edible, but the leaves are not. So I'm wondering how many aspiring culinarians bit the dust from eating the wrong part of the plant.
I use a lot of chilies. I think I eat chili every day, whether it's green chili, red chili, serrano chilies, habanero chilies, poblano chilies.
Chilies, much like chocolate, work on the endorphins in your brain. So if you're not a chili eater and you're not really accustomed to that heat, start slowly and you will be accustomed to it. And then it gets to the point where, you know, the more you eat, the more you want, just like that good dark chocolate.
And I always think it's funny too when they say, you know, if you eat something hot, like a chili, that you should have a glass of milk, but we weren't drinking milk back then, so I think you just have to go with it.
Tequila and mezcal work as well too.
Okay, now I can really start to smell it, so that's good. So I'm just going to continue turning these. When you're doing this, when I do this at home, I actually have a gas stove, so I actually just put the chili right on the stove, and I just turn it. I roast corn that way as well. It's so easy, but like I said, you can put it all in the oven and get it done all in one batch. I did a whole bunch for Sunday's demo too, and that's really simple, just doing it all in the oven. So what I have here is just a little bit of vegetable broth. I'm actually a vegetarian, and I've been teased about that many times, being Native American and being a vegetarian, because they say that means I'm just a bad hunter. But I actually think I'm an excellent forager. So what I have here is maple syrup, because I just want just a tiny bit of sweetness against the savory of everything else. We grew up mostly eating honey, not maple syrup, just because I'm from the desert and we don't have any maple trees growing there. Something that we would use for a sweetener would also be a mesquite flour. If you've never had mesquite flour, it's sweet on its own, and you can just add a little tiny bit even to what we drink, like a atole, a blue corn meal. We put the mesquite in there, but honey. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit. Why did I choose maple? Because I'm on this side of the country. Plus, our ancestors were excellent traders. So even where I'm from, I did some work with the Pueblo Grande Museum in Phoenix, Arizona, and I was talking to some of the archaeologists, and they were saying that, you know, they had, I think it was 5,000-year-old vessels that they found cocoa beans. Well, cocoa beans don't grow in the desert, or cocoa trees, so you think about that long ago, all of that trading that was taking place, that's pretty amazing. So this was just traded, I think, by Cisco this morning. All right, so you can see I'm starting to get just a little bit of like that char on here. I'm going to let this cook with a little bit of vegetable broth. Pardon? At home, I like to make my own vegetable broth, but I'm using the cafe's vegetable broth today, which they do make in-house as well. Of the vegetable broth, it's what they have in their kitchen. Yeah. That's the best kind. Mm-hmm.
Keep a lot of those vegetable scraps at home and kind of pick and choose the flavor profile you want in your vegetable stock, and just throw them in a big old pot, cover it with water, put it on, bring it to a boil on the stove, then cover it, turn it down to low and let it simmer all night. You know, if you keep it really low, at the restaurant we used to keep this stock pot simmering all of the time, and you can reduce it down then until it gets to a denser flavor that you can either freeze in ice cube trays, which is cool. Then you can just get your vegetable stock out. But it's all to your taste and flavor profile.
Plus, like if you're, sometimes I'll make things that I want more of a distinct flavor, but I don't necessarily want to use it in my dish. So even something like juniper berries or a few different cedar sprigs, things like that, you can put in your stock, and it just totally changes your stock without even adding anything at the end. So I went ahead and put about 5 of these roasted tomatoes that I did earlier. But like I said, if we had more time, I would be roasting that all here. So I'm going to put this in the blender. You can use a food processor as well. I like the sauce just a little bit chunky, so I'm going to get that going. See, I like to use sea salt also, so I brought some sea salt here. I never use the white iodized table salt because there's trace minerals in the sea salt, and also we have this amazing nutrition that's coming from the ocean, you know, and sea kelp and seaweed and the sea salt. It's not processed, so you're getting all of these little tiny benefits just from something as simple as sea salt. And that actually was a prized commodity back in the day, salt. Just a little bit more.
Word. There's that commod word.
Oh yeah, we don't like the commodity word.
But the sea salt, even, you know, in Hopi, all through the desert, because so much of the Earth's surface was covered by the sea, you know, there's some exquisite salts being mined or secretly cached away. I've had salt from all over the desert tribes, and it's very distinctive, beautiful flavors from different areas. So use that real salt. The less refining you can do to any of your food, any of your grains, anything that you use, the better, salt included.
When I travel to a different country, I love to always bring home honey because I really feel like you can taste the environment through your honey. And another thing that I like to bring back is salt because it's also kind of nice because you get to cook with it throughout the rest of your year, depending how much you buy. I usually buy a lot. So I don't know if you guys can smell this or if you can see this, but it's a little bit saucy, just like me.
Saucy, yes. Sassy and saucy.
Not salty, though.
No, not salty.
So I'm going to put just a tiny bit more. And then I'm going to get this prepped up. So what you could do is if you have a big tray, you know, you could put all of these, and it makes a beautiful presentation, you know, for a family dinner. But if it's just 2 of you, maybe they are rather filling, so maybe just do one at a time, but they make a beautiful presentation. So what I have here is, you can see it's pretty chunky, and I'm just going to put some on the bottom of my plate here. And if you like it a little bit more thin, you could add some vegetable broth to that. I wouldn't really add water because it's going to thin out the flavor too. Then I'm going to choose the best looking poblano here. Let's see, maybe this. And it is about a 1/4 cup or so that we're filling in there. I can. This one's pretty big, so I might have to do a little more. So, can anyone smell it yet from there? So we have the mushrooms, we have the purple Peruvian potatoes, the poblano peppers, tomatoes, cumin, vegetable stock, maple syrup, some sea salt, some garlic. I don't actually cook with much garlic. I use more onions than I do garlic. And you just put that on there like that. I don't know if you can see on there. Can they see up on the? So it's just pretty. So this is something that, you know, you could serve with maybe some black beans or some Taperi beans. I believe we have Ramona Farms here with Taperi beans. That would be something that would be a really nice protein addition. There's actually everything you need in here. You've got protein, carbohydrates, vitamin C, minerals. This is a complete little plate, so the Taperi beans would actually be a nice addition. That's actually,
That's
it's
absolutely, yes.
fast. It's very fast.
We have a question from the audience.
Taperi beans, they grow in the area where I am from, and I believe we have Ramona and Velvet from the,
They're from Gila River, so
Gila
down
River, yeah.
in southern Arizona, in the southern desert.
Yeah, Taperi beans actually have T-E-P-A-R-Y. They have the most protein of any bean in the world. Yes, they're drought resistant, and they come in black, red, white, and I cook with those often because they're sourced right from 30 minutes from my house. So that would be a nice addition, and I do believe they're here today. So you should go introduce yourself and tell them.
Yes,
You need to
they
buy
have
some
a
beans.
booth set up out in the lobby, but southern Arizona, you know, you wouldn't think anything would grow there. And this particular little bean, bawi, is called in the language of
Kahana
the
Atum.
desert people, the Atum Pima people, and you know, such an extraordinary bean. Tiny, like almost the size of what you would think of as a Great Northern, just a very small bean, but absolutely loaded with protein, very high protein. In a really interesting growing pattern in that the leaves are kind of arrowhead shaped, and rather than like most plants following the sun, they close up during the heat of the day and turn away from the sun. So, and it's an extraordinary plant. Check out the Ramona Farms booth out there. They do some beautiful product. And this beautiful lady and this beautiful dish, I have to congratulate her. I have known her for a while. I've written about her in Native Peoples Magazine, and the work that she's doing is really quite extraordinary. And when you think vegetarian, don't ever think that it's not going to be flavorful. I'm up here smelling this, and it's just amazing. So thank you for being here, and thank you, Chef Felicia.
Thank you.